And we are live. Hi, my name is Tyree Simon.
Elijah Jones.
This is MMA Renegade, episode 10. Elijah, how you doing,
10.
sir?
Whoop, whoop. Well, currently I am in around the time of getting close to finals in school. So
Right.
definitely tired, but managing. You?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I got two shows today, so we're doing this MMA show on this channel, and then we got later on today, me and Sergio is doing play action
Nice,
after the
nice.
Patriots and Eagles game, so that should be fun.
That should be fun. Not a big fan of football, but everyone who watches it loves it. So,
Well, you are a big fan of MMA, aren't you?
would that be the reason for this talk show?
Exactly. See, the segments are getting better on the show. That's 10 episodes. We're getting good at segues.
Someone's got it.
So, UFC Sao Paulo is in the books. Did you watch it live, sir?
I did not watch it live, unfortunately. I only caught parts of the last fight. I fell asleep last night. I'm not gonna lie to you. I definitely fell
Oh,
asleep. But I was interested. It was interesting last night. I always love when UFC goes to Sao Paulo. We both know that. I think you're a big fan of whenever UFC goes international. I believe
yep.
you always talk about how that's always better for fight fans and also gives light to fighters internationally. So I thought it was I thought it was pretty cool to see UFC in Sao Paulo. That's become the norm, if I'm not mistaken. There's always a few cards in Brazil.
Yeah, yeah, and normally I'll be excited to talk about an international card because I think international is important to grow the business.
Yeah.
However, this one was not one of them. This card, um, the main card especially was the most uneventful card. Even the fans, honestly, go back and watch the event in its whole, and I'll encourage you to do so. But when you watch
Yeah.
watch the fans, they're not even that interested in the fight. In fact, in the main event, they're playing with their phones, creating like a flashlight wave in the crowd.
Yeah. I mean,
Very bizarre.
I don't put it past them. From when I caught the main event, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it was a technical fight because these guys both have power. But for all those who don't know, the main event for UFC Sao Paulo fight night, what number was it? Do they even do numbers anymore? I feel like that's
They
not a
don't
thing.
do numbers.
Yeah.
No, it's strictly just
It's fight
ESPN.
night. Yeah, so
Yeah.
just the fight night. It was Jacare versus Jan Blachowicz, which was interesting because it was Jacare's first fight at light heavyweight. So, Tyrese, you want to speak anything on the fight?
There's not really much to say.
No.
John Blachowicz versus Jacare Souza ended with Jacare winning. I mean, Blachowicz winning split decision 48-47, 47-48, and 48-47. I don't know how they scored it for Jacare. I thought it was a unanimous decision win for Blachowicz. What I will say on the fight is Jacare looks good at light heavyweight. I'll say that.
Looks huge. I mean, he looked big at middleweight. He always did look big at middleweight, but he looks like he is not. He never looked drained, but you could see a difference between during the fight and during the weigh-ins. Very clear difference in some people. His difference was that big, but then now you see him at 205. It's like, whoa,
he looks
barely the difference.
He looks good at 205. Looks better than Luke Rockhold going up to 205. I'll say that. But my thing,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. I mean, I want you to talk about that. Actually, we'll talk about that later. The whole Luke Rockhold too.
No, my thing with this is maybe you could attribute more to Luke Rockhold as well with the matchup. It was a poor matchup, right? Because Blachowicz is a top 5 light heavyweight.
Yep.
And it's tough for a middleweight to go up to fight the top 5 in that division, especially Blachowicz, who was very well rounded, has good takedown defense,
also
has
black belt,
good power, and black belt, and it has power. So that's a tough fight. Yeah. That's a tough fight to go up in weight against. Going from 185 to 205, that is a big difference.
Big difference. Agreed. This isn't one of the best. It's a good match in terms of breaking into the 205 to see what that top 5 division is. But for your first match for 205, that's such a tough fight. That's such a tough fight. Not to say he can't rise to the occasion, but yeah, again, top 5 contender. I mean, this guy is, he's close to fighting for a belt. Realistically, if all the stars align, I mean, you never know. He's just that good. And so that fight proved that kind of cemented the level of where you saw him as a top 5 205er, and then where you saw Jacare as a middleweight moving up.
I agree. And to the viewer watching, we thank you for watching, and please comment in the group chat. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on that event.
Of course.
But yeah, man, my thing with Jacare was he couldn't get on the inside. And when he got on the inside, he got in the clinch. He couldn't really do anything with it. He tried to go for takedowns, but Blachowicz is so good at defending the takedowns that was almost at the time. Yeah. He went 0 for 5 in the fight.
Yeah, that first round was him trying to get takedowns. They were both like, I believe Jacare was trying to get them more primarily, and then the second round, if I'm not mistaken, that's when like they had to really kind of do the stand up because neither of them was getting takedowns.
No, it was a very even fight technically because both of them are good everywhere. Jacare is well rounded as well. He's good. He's good. He's gotten better at striking. His takedown is good. His ground game is no question how good he is. Mm-hmm. But he couldn't really take Blachowicz down, and then it got to a point where they're both so good at certain things that they really couldn't do anything.
They kind of nullify each other. So it's whoever gets the best of those exchanges is really, that's how I kind of saw this happening, to be honest with you. Is whoever really kind of got the best of these exchanges, because at the end of the day, they're both black belts. They're both great wrestling, have good wrestling. Their striking isn't striking god level, but it's very good. They both have good technique when it comes to Jacare cutting off the cage and trying to put the pressure on. And the end he likes to initiate a jab early on if he can. If not, he likes to come around. He can work the body. He also loves hooks. So like that was one of the things that you get to see from him. So I mean, again, when you put these guys on a list and you mark down their greatest strengths and their weaknesses, they kind of just like nullify each other.
Exactly, and we're bringing back to the Luke Rockhold thing. Maybe Luke Rockhold was a bad matchup for Blachowicz coming out the gate. I think Blachowicz is that top 5 guy where, I mean, you want to have somebody maybe in the top 10 underneath of that to come in against to see, okay, where do we stand? And then you move to Blachowicz. Yeah. Blachowicz should not be your first fight coming in because he's so well rounded and so good everywhere that it just makes it hard to come up and wait to fight against.
I mean, and I'm not saying don't take a fight that you don't think you win or don't take a challenge, because that was clearly a good challenge for Rockhold. I do think what happened with Rockhold though in that fight was that that first round he spent so much time and energy trying to get Blachowicz down that you saw not that he was tired, but it kind of was like, oh shit, I can't take him down. What do I do? It was not a panic mode, but you saw him go like, I can't take him down. Like, what am I gonna have to do? Maybe I'm just gonna throw kicks. And I thought the first round, until Rockhold got hurt, Rockhold was winning that round, in my opinion. I think he was doing a good job with the body kicks, and then the leg kicks. And then he had I'm surprised the commission let him have that wrap on his left shin. But then when Blachowicz started attacking the shin, that's when you was like, oh, game over. So I think that it was a good fight. I think that fight was good for Blachowicz. Let me say that. I don't know about Rockhold.
Of course.
Yeah, that fight was great for Blachowicz. And just a heads up, Rockhold's back at middleweight. He's going to be fighting someone soon. So I'm interested in that. But yeah, I saw that on thing. But back to Jacare. I think what we see with Jacare is that he does go on these losing streaks. He gets a win and then goes on him. But with a new division and some possible new contenders, I think that even though he lost in this, even though he lost in his initial debut fight for 205, I think he can still push towards the title. I don't know if he will fight for the title, but I think 205 can be bright for him, in my opinion.
No, yeah, and I agree with that too. And I'm surprised Luke Rockhold is going back down the middleweight because I think, honestly, back to Jacare as well, I think given a chance to adjust to 205 and understanding, you're fighting against bigger guys. Yeah. I think that's a good way to figure out, okay, where can I go in the top 5 or going to a title? I don't think Blachowicz is the benchmark for you to say, okay, I'm going to go to 205 and I'm going to go towards a title shot. I think it should be somebody below in the top 10 or maybe in the 15s, and then you could go to Blachowicz or somebody in that nature.
Well,
it should not be your first fight going in.
I think momentum is a big thing, but I also think because he's a name, they're not gonna want to, like, some people. I'm not saying some people are ducking him, but some people aren't gonna want to fight Jacare, and some people are. And because he's a name, and because Jacare he'll fight a lot of people, and because Blachowicz, he wants to build the resume to get to that belt. I mean, beating a guy like Jacare does add to your resume, even though Jacare he's not ranked He's not, and Luke Rockhold. Although those two aren't ranked at 205 yet, are they?
No.
I think Jacare may be ranked maybe after Monday. We'll see if that's the case. Maybe number 15. I don't know, but that it's a name, and a resume speaks for itself when arguing for a title fight. We know this time after time.
Right.
So I think that's what's gonna. I think this is what puts him in what puts Blachowicz in a better position to argue for more better fights and then the top 5 division. I mean, in top 5 of the 205 division.
Yeah, and last before I get off on this, Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos, they didn't go jump right into top 5 territory. They fought their way into light heavyweight contender to be a title contender. That makes sense.
They did.
They didn't go from I'm gonna be in the middleweight division to fighting a top 10. They fought their way into that spot. And I think that's the way it should have been done for Luke Rockhold or Jacare. Not maybe fighting their way to a spot, but fighting, not top 5 competitors. That's what I'm saying.
I think at the time that Anthony made the short out of all these guys who were jumping from the middleweight, we're having this middleweight revolution at 205. That's actually what MMA News has named it too. It was kind of interesting. They named it as like people just jumping up. But Anthony Smith, his jump was at a perfect time because the light heavyweight division had no clear contender. Right. We had guys that we knew were good, and they were beating all these other guys. And sure, you could consider the number 1 contender, but then you had this weird area where Jones just came back. He just beat Gustafsson. Then we know Jones had fought. Did he fight before Gustafsson, or was Gustafsson his first fight back?
His first fight back.
Yeah. So he had beat Gustafsson, and it was like, all right, so he just beat the best of the division without Daniel Cormier here. So what's going on? Right. And that was a perfect time for Anthony Smith to go up. I don't think anyone's gonna have that short. He did it in 3 fights, if I'm not mistaken. He fought Ozdemir. No, did he fight Ozdemir? He fought Ozdemir.
He fought Shogun.
Beat Shogun. He fought Rashad.
Yes.
He fought Rashad at 205. Then he fought Shogun. Then he fought Ozdemir. Right. 2 of these fighters are fighters that John Jones fought, but they're always top 10, but they haven't been in title contention in like the last couple of years. And like that's just because those 2 guys they're great fighters, but they're towards the end of their careers. And that just happened to be the time frame.
Rashard Evans may have been out of the top 15 at that point.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I think it's actually pretty impressive that Anthony Smith got a title shot within 3 fights. Because I don't think, and it's harder. It's going to be harder now because you have all these people jumping up from 185 to 205. It just clouds the division, but it's also great because now John Jones has a ring of competitors to kind of knock off before he fights Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, I agree. I think Anthony Smith had a great opportunity. Again, time makes everything. Where you just find yourself, getting a couple of wins together, and then you're always getting a title shot because there's nobody to fight against.
And I think Jacare, done rightly, can do that. I don't know if it'll happen in 3 fights. It may be 2 to 3 fights, depending on the state of the division. You know how if the people who he beats after this loss. But Jacare, I think, can make a run for the title in 2020.
I think so too. I think it's a possibility. I think he should stay in 205. I think you should fight somebody, maybe in the top 10. Maybe a Latifi. Maybe a.
I thought Latifi jumped to heavyweight. I think Latifi jumped to heavyweight, Tyrese.
I didn't hear that.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. You can go on.
No, but I think a Latifi or a Johnny Walker, maybe. I think that or Shogun. Or Shogun or Greg. Like I think
Shogun would be good. That's a good fight.
I think those fights, who fought in this card and had a horrible fight, which we're not really going to talk about, it went to a draw. But I think those fights could kind of give Jacare an understanding of how he could fight at light heavyweight. Because when you watch the fight, it was like he knew the power of Blachowicz, but really didn't know how to get on the inside because of the distance, because of the reach advantage, and all that in between.
Yeah, I think Blachowicz was good.
No, so I think given time, he can adjust to being at 205.
Yeah, 100%. Again, this is a tough challenge as your first fight in 205. And Jacare it's not that he's getting decisively. He's getting edged out in these decisions.
Yes.
The last time he was beaten decisively, I believe, was Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker knocked him out.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, he's lost decisions. He hasn't been knocked out. That's the last time he's on. Like he's good. Jacare is that good, but he needs something to propel him over and beat these guys. What that is, I don't know. But Jacare is 100% capable of it. 100% capable of it.
I agree. This should not be the end for Jacare at 205.
No,
I would love to see him. I would love to see him come back and maybe fight like a Shogun. I think a Shogun would be a great
I
fight for him
think
to fight against.
that would be a great fight. Also, side note, Latifi stated his next fight he wants at heavyweight. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that was the general consensus. He said that he really wanted to go up to heavyweight and fight.
Okay, so, that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting.
You know, who would you pick for Blachowicz next? That's my question. I would love to hear you say that one.
Who would I pick for Blachowicz next? I think Blachowicz. Yeah. He's ranked at top. He's ranked in the number 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Maybe Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson would be something I'll be interested in seeing. I think they did fight before, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, I could definitely pull that fight stats up and see. But go ahead.
But they're both doing well on a win streak. So I would love to see Blachowicz fight somebody in the top 4 or 3.
Yeah, Corey beat him back in 2015.
Okay, so you can run that back.
Yeah.
It's been long enough so you can run it back now.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think that could possibly propel you towards getting a title shot. More
Agreed.
so.
Agreed.
Unless Anthony Smith is available, I think he's still hurt. You maybe run that as well.
Maybe I think he's still hurt.
Yes,
I wouldn't mind seeing Ozdemir versus Yan.
I don't know if that would
happen. I don't know
if that would
happen.
Ozdemir versus
Glover. I would like to see Glover back in that title contention.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on when does. Okay, so we're gonna do predictions later on, but we could do a little bit now with this, right? So I'm looking at the rankings now. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Out of those 2, Thiago Santos is out. Anthony Smith is out. You got DC. DC is still ranked number 1 for some reason.
But
and they got Dominic Reyes going to fight John Jones in February of this year.
Yeah,
allegedly. I would love to see Blachowicz versus either Corey Anderson, which you can run back.
Yeah.
Right? And then when Thiago Santos is healthy and Anthony Smith is healthy, you can run that back as well because they fought before. And Thiago Santos beat Anthony Smith.
He did. Beat him at middleweight and TKO'd him.
So you can run that fight back in light heavyweight, and whoever wins that fight could potentially be a contender as well. Yes.
I agree. I think I don't know. Thiago's injuries were so bad that he may take more time to heal than Anthony Smith. Who knows? But if we get the luck of the draw, I would like to see that fight before I see those 2 guys fight anybody else in their division. In reality, because I think the winner of that has realistically 1 more fight before they fight John Jones.
Maybe even fight John Jones, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. Realistically, it's really either those guys are 1 to 2 fights away back to the title. Because with Anthony Smith, you have the narrative of, John Jones just got the better of me, but it wasn't like he was destroying me and I was doing good. And then you have Thiago Smith, who gave John Jones arguably one of the hardest fights of his career.
Yes.
So, it's interesting. But overall, this fight with Jan Blachowicz versus Jacare, I'm not surprised with the outcome. I think for Jacare, 205 is the home now. I think you're great. I would love to see where he goes next. And Jan's moving towards the title, so I'm actually pretty impressed by that.
There's progression. The one thing you can say about this event is that there is progression with the light heavyweight division, and you could see certain matchups that make sense moving forward.
Yep.
Yes. I'm not going to go too much in depth with this card. I will say Charles Oliveira beat Jared Gordon. I don't think that fight should have happened in the first place. I think Charles Oliveira should fight somebody ranked. Jared Gordon is not that.
Jared Gordon, solid fighter, but I truly believe you're right. I think it's about time that Charles Oliveira starts somebody in the top 10. I think realistically, he's got a lot of fans behind, not fans behind him, I guess, but he's got a lot of momentum. So I think realistically, a fight in the top 10 for me that I would like to see him is Kevin Lee.
You know what? I was thinking about that, but then I was thinking Islam Makhachev may get Kevin Lee, and they've been calling each other out. So that may be the route. I was thinking Charles Oliveira versus maybe Alex Winter.
I'd rather not see that fight. Honestly, I don't really like. I think that's a good fight. I think that's a
Right.
good fight.
Okay.
Solid fight. You have Iaquinta with the wrestling, and then you have Oliveira with the jiu-jitsu. Oliveira's stand-up, I think, is growing, and
Yes.
I'm really interested to see how that would be face off because we saw Cowboy against we saw Cowboy versus Iaquinta, and
Yeah.
that was a Cowboy striking. It was just better, and that's what got him the win. So
Mm.
that would be an interesting fight and an interesting matchup.
Right.
But realistically, in the lightweight division, maybe Charles Oliveira can either fight someone like Gregor Gillespie. Maybe he could fight what's his name? Not Paul Felder. I think that's probably too low. Maybe Paul Felder. I don't know if Paul Felder and Barboza are going to run it back. I'm just throwing out a few names that I would like to see. You know,
Okay, but why don't you want to see Al Quinta? Why does that fight not
eh,
attract you? Because
I
who's
would.
Al gonna face at this point in time? Al
I
can't
know.
face
I
Paul
kind of
Felder.
okay.
You know what I
I
mean?
know. We talked about this last time. I kind of want to see Al versus Lee again. I don't know why. I kind of want to see it again. Never gonna happen. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I mean, that's fair, but we've already seen that matchup, and
Yeah.
it's not too far removed. Like it was
No.
pretty much recently, as recently as last year, as a matter of fact. So
Yeah.
I mean, the Islam Makhachev is a fresh fight. They
That's a good fight.
both calling each other out. You know,
Yeah.
that's something you can easily sell. And I think Charles Oliveira has been exciting enough. He's won 5 of his last fights, all by
All by
finishes.
finish. All by finish.
He's
Whether
on the
it be a submission or an actual like striking. It's been all 5 fastest finishes.
it's been 5 finishes and 5 consecutive wins. So that tells you how much it's been.
Yeah.
Um, and he beat David Tamar. He beat Nick Lentz. He's now beating Jared Gordon. I want to see Charles Oliveira fight somebody with a big name, big enough name. I think Ally Quinton fits that bill.
You know who doesn't have anybody to tangle with right now either? If it's a little bit of a stretch,
Mm.
but Dan Hooker.
See, we're kind of blending into 2020 predictions here, but I love it. The Dan Hooker, he's ranked number 7 right now. That could also change.
Yeah.
I can see Dan Hooker fighting the person that doesn't get Connor. So if Connor doesn't fight either Justin Gaethje, who was been rumored, or Cowboy, who's been rumored,
Dan Hooker gets that matchup.
yes, I think that makes more sense for Dan Hooker.
Know. I don't know. I'm not trying to protect Iaquinta, and I'm not saying I don't want these two to fight. I don't know.
It doesn't make it doesn't make any sense right now. Alex is ranked number 9, and Charles Oliveira is ranked number 13. Which honestly, Charles Oliveira should probably be over. He should probably be that top 11, top 12.
In my opinion, well, I don't know if he should be. I don't know if he should be over. I don't think he should be over Pettis. Let's just go ahead and say that.
But I do think number 11.
You know what it was? You know what it is? Remember he jumped from he beat Wonder Boy, jumped to welterweight, then from the welterweight came back to lightweight. And I think that jump that I think when he fought Tony, right? That's when he got back onto the lightweight one. The lightweight rankings. I agree. I would see Iaquinta. I could honestly see Iaquinta as the next fight for Oliveira, or I could see Pettis. I think both of those two are good fights. I think Pettis may be the more exciting fight.
For who?
For between Oliveira, Iaquinta, and Oliveira and Pettis. But realistically, I don't see the Pettis fight happening. I see the Iaquinta fight happening.
No, I think Pettis right now just wants the big name fights. Yeah, not really the money fights, but the big name fights that will have him as a main eventer, and if he can sell arenas, which is fine.
Money.
But yeah, Oliveira did a good job before Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon is a good fighter. Not to discredit him, but I think Charles Oliveira is a top 15 lightweight fighter, and he should fight people in their rankings.
I agree. Do you think that in the next 2 years he'll be fighting for a belt? Do you see him in the top 5?
I don't know because he's gotten so much better with his
much better. I think the Frankie fight was when he first put people on notice. He lost that fight, by the way, but I think that's when he proved to a lot of people that he can stand and he can prevent takedowns and things like that. I think that was the biggest fight for me that made me go, Oliveira definitely has a lot more skill than people are giving him credit for.
And also, he's only 30 years old, right? Yeah. He's only 30 years old. again, I could see Charles Oliveira. He has the same style if he gets better with his striking as Tony Ferguson would against Khabib.
Pushes forward.
He's great off the.
Pushes forward.
He's great on the ground. He looks for
solid guard.
Yeah.
Elbows off the guard.
If his striking gets better, we'd be having. We talk about having Charles Oliveira have the same technique, the same stylist as Tony Ferguson right now, who's about to fight for a title.
Yeah.
So who knows? Yeah. He may fight for a title. Who knows?
I don't know if he will fight for a title, but I definitely see that UFC, like, Charles Oliveira is going in the right direction towards fighting for a title. I think he's fighting enough fights outside of the top 15 to the point where it's like, now let's get you in there, let's get you to the top 10, top 5, and let's put you up against the best of the best, because you have the skill set, but we want to see how you match up with the other people in the division, because those top 10 guys also have the skill set. Right. They have the skill set. They have this. They're specialists, and then there's people who are all around great MMA fighters. So that's what this is now the time where it's like, let's see how you do.
Yeah. Again, he's only 30 years old. He's continuing to get better. If his striking improves the way it has been shown, he could be fighting for that title soon.
Yeah. Who did he? I'm just going to go over his last 5 fights. His last 5 fights were Clay Guida, choked him out, guillotine. Christos Giagos, choke. Jim Miller, choke. David Tamer, choke. Nick Lentz, TKO, and Jared Gordon, knockout. Yeah. Which was actually pretty impressive. I was actually really impressed by the knockout. I think it was an uppercut, no? Was it an uppercut that stopped the guy?
It was a left hook.
It was. I was watching highlights on MMA Mania when I woke up at like 2 a.m. and I went back to sleep. It was pretty impressive. It was very impressive. Just kind of the distance he kept, and then the pressure forward. It was interesting.
Yeah. Again, he's somebody that if he continues putting on these impressive performances, I can see him giving a push.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Another person. I just want to bring this guy up. James Krause.
Yeah, that was my next point. James Krause had a good performance, beating Sergio Moraes, going into the last seconds of the third round.
Yeah.
I want to see James Krause fight somebody in the top 15.
James Krause is another guy who bumped up from lightweight. James Krause, he had some success early on, but then I think he went on a losing skid. I think like 2 fights, and James Krause is like, I'm not doing this anymore. So James Krause was on the Ultimate Fighter, then he bumped up. He is looking solid, a lot more solid at welterweight. Sorry, I said heavyweight. And he's been, if I'm not mistaken, he has been on a 4-fight win streak in welterweight division.
I'll say this: James Krause deserves a top 15 opponent. He's also, I believe, on a 5-fight win streak, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
He is one, actually, 6.
No, 6. He's on a 6. And
6-fight win streak.
Charles Oliveira is also on a 6-fight win streak as well. But going back to James Krause, I think Gilbert Burns makes sense. I think Gilbert Burns makes sense. Gilbert Burns is on a good win streak as well. I think
he's on a very good win streak.
I think that'll be a good fight for James Krause. Jeff Neal, I think he has a fight coming up, so that's out of the question.
He does. He got. Isn't Jeff Neal fighting? What's his name? Platinum.
Yes, he is. Maybe the winner of that he gets James Krause.
I like Durinho. I really like Durinho on that one. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really like Durinho.
And maybe even Vicente Luque. Maybe that fight.
I'd be interested to see Luque.
Yeah. I think it's just time for him to get an opportunity.
Yeah, he deserves someone in the top 10, in the top 15. I agree. I think it's time. He's putting in work, and he's I think he's like 32. Like he's around like the prime, like welterweight. Like he's 33. I think he's like around the prime, like welterweight times. So I think he'd be a solid addition to the top 15 if he can beat one of those guys. I think Burns might be a good fight, but I thought Burns was preoccupied. Didn't Burns? He just came off a win, if I'm not mistaken. Gilbert Burns. He came off of a late. Didn't pick up a fight late notice and then won.
Yeah, Gilbert Burns is on a run right now. He's on an impressive run. But yeah, I think it would make great sense for him to fight somebody in the top 15. Maybe Gilbert Burns. Maybe don't give him a top 10 guy, but give him Gilbert Burns, Jeff Neal, or Platinum Perry, whoever wins that fight, or Vicente Luque.
Luke is probably gonna take some time off, readjust, and then that fight makes sense. I think that fight makes sense.
Burns beat Gunnar Nelson, by the way.
Yes. He beat him on late notice because Gunnar Nelson's opponent dropped out. I think that would be a good fight, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I think that would be a great fight too. There's not really much else really to talk about this card except for Renan Barão. Oh, also shout out to Randy Brown for getting a triangle choke on Warlley Alves.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
You know how much of a big fan I am of Randy Brown.
Yeah,
he's a very good prospect. Continues to get better at welterweight. Let's see what he does next.
You know what's interesting? Warlley Alves is the only guy in UFC to have beaten the UFC. What do you call that? UFC interim welterweight champion. What's his name? Help me out here. Help me out. Colby Covington. He is the only fighter on the UFC roster, I think, to hold a win over him.
How do you not remember Colby Covington's name? The guy's gonna be fighting for a title.
Blanking, relax.
You know what? We're both trying to get through this show. It's early in the afternoon.
I got the rest of my day. I'm tired. I got to study. I got a lot going on.
Yeah. But yeah, he's the only person to beat Colby Covington, and he loses to Randy Brown, which tells you how good Randy Brown is. Went to the triangle choke. I want to see what's next for Randy Brown. But I think the biggest story out of everything here is Renan Barão. And Renan Barão continues to go on the decline. He is now 5 fights losing streak right now, if I'm mistaken. Yes.
Yeah, 5 fights.
His last one was in 2016.
Yeah. Wait, his last win? Yeah, his last win was Philip Nover.
Yes. So last one was in 2016. Win. Sorry. Let me sure that's being said. Win was in 2016.
Yeah. I thought you said win. You said win.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure. And to me, this is a guy that was once a champion at bantamweight. And we've just seen this guy ever since the TJ Dillashaw fight.
I just want to say,
go ahead.
You're right. He was left and right. Whoever you put against him was just either decisioned or demolished.
Renan Barão was one of those guys that you feared at bantamweight.
But he's not a big guy. Not a big guy, but you just feared him because the unpredictability.
Right. And it was a time where it was him and Jose Aldo who were both the kings. The kings
of one of the most stacked divisions in UFC at the time. Just stacked. But you're right. Then my boy TJ Dillashaw came around and said, nah, enough of this shit. Boom.
Yeah. Listen, he went about damn near close to 10 years undefeated.
Without losing. I think it was like 20.
He lost. Go ahead.
I think it was like 26 fights he was on. Like he was on a win streak of 26 fights or something like that. And he hadn't lost.
More than that, 32.
It was last loss was 2005, and then he's won every single fight up until the TJ fight in 2014.
So he's on a 32 fight win streak. And this is a guy that, from WEC to UFC when that joined together, was just unstoppable. And then TJ Dillashaw came along and he was able to figure out what Uriah Faber couldn't and beat Renan Barão. And ever since then, Renan Barão has never been the same.
No, he has. I think he changed. Something changed. But the time that he was king was unstoppable. But again, there's everyone has a reign, and everyone, there's a time when you reign, a time when you don't, and Barão was it.
Yeah, and the people he's losing against are younger, are older than him. Like Renan Barão's only 32. Douglas Silva de Andrade, who beat Renan Barão by unanimous decision, he's 34. His last fight, Luke Sanders, he's 33. Andre Huel is probably the closest point he's at an age is 31. But Renan Barão's only 32 years old.
I mean, I think
this could be his prime.
This should, what it is, in my opinion. I do think those losses were hard for him, but I also think that he took a lot of damage in those fights.
Yes.
But it's compared to the fights of his career, which is interesting because he's always winning. But the damage he took in those fights were nothing compared to his career. And so I think when he first took that damage, it was like, whoa, like, all right, so maybe I'm not this, untouchable, whatever. And then it kind of changed everything like going on after that. I think this is one of the issues with when you have title reigns for so long is that people go so long without being able to beat you.
Right.
And then as soon as someone's able to beat you and you lose, you go to a next fight, you win, but people try to implement the same game plan of which you got beat, but aren't able to do it quite exactly as the person who does it, who beat you. So like we have these people who are now can just develop these plans of how to beat you, and it's just like once that secret is out of how to beat a person, and the person, I'm not saying he doesn't evolve, but he has a set. Strength and weaknesses, and I don't know if he's changed over the years, and that's one of the bigger issues about him.
Yeah, and also maybe the weight cut as well. The weight cut has always been a problem for him. We remember that TJ the second fight was supposed to happen. TJ ended up fighting
Joe Soto.
Joe Soto, yes, you're right.
On
And
short notice, yeah.
on short notice, and remember the weight cut affected him so much that he hit his head on the bathtub. If I'm mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there was some issue where he was pulled out because it was a medical issue. But he was at 145.
No, it's
was he not at 140?
135.
I thought they fought at 145.
No, remember TJ's always been bantamweight champion. 135.
No, not TJ. I'm talking about the Dion Silva Andrade. I thought their fight was at 145, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You're right.
I don't think he. Yeah, it was at 145.
Yeah. This was a return to featherweight.
I don't think his career is.
I'm saying the years of the weight cut.
Oh, that's the point you made. All right, we're bringing it back. Yeah. The years of the weight cutting to 135, I've caught up with him. I agree. Yeah. I could see that being a possibility. I know early in his career he circled around bantamweight and maybe have done a featherweight fight once, but 135 was his home, and I think you're right. After years of the weight cut, that might have affected him, but I don't think he's out. But he has to find his footing at 145, and 145, as we know right now, has got some killers.
And he's on a 5-fight losing streak in the UFC. So I don't know if this is possibly the end for him in the UFC, or maybe he finds a different home. But Renan Barão, it's one of those things where, and again, we talked about before. He was the most dominant bantamweight for his time. And people forget he's probably one of the greatest bantamweights we've ever seen.
Truth be told, he was. I think. Yeah. Well, he is. I don't think he was. He is actually. He beat Faber, who is touted as one of the best bantamweights of all time. The only person he didn't get to fight was Dominic Cruz because Cruz is out.
Right.
Cruz is out. Off the 2 ACL injuries. The first time his cadaver didn't take, and so he ended up tearing it again, or something happened in complication, so he was out even longer. So realistically, I think people do forget that. I agree. I think people understand like how dominant this man was.
Again, almost 10 years without losing a fight. So the viewer watching, if you have anything to say about Renan Barão or anything about the show or anything about UFC,
please.
And thank you for watching. But yeah, man, the Renan Barão story is something that should be a 30 for 30. Yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah. A 30 for 30, you said?
Yeah, 30 for real.
I think an interview would be interesting. I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah. But that's pretty much on the UFC Sao Paulo. I really didn't see anything really worth, other than the stuff we've mentioned. Randy Brown getting a win. Good for Randy Brown. I love Randy Brown.
Lipinski did really good.
Charles Oliveira should get a top 10 fighter, I think.
Agreed.
I think it should be Al Iaquinta. And John should face Corey Anderson. John Blachowicz should face Corey Anderson next. I think that's the fight.
Wouldn't be upset with that matchup.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be upset with that.
But here's the thing, right? So we're talking about UFC Sao Paulo and how uneventful that was. Bare knuckle boxing's killed last night. Bare knuckle boxing, low key, has
delivered.
The growth of bare knuckle boxing has been crazy.
Yeah.
So the BKFC 9 had what's his name? Artem Lobov versus Jason Knight. And it delivered on the excitement.
I will say this. I saw the fight like being like toted, like what do you call that? Promoted. I saw the fight being promoted and I was like, okay, cool. Like we saw this fight, like what's gonna be different? But then I saw the fight after the fight happened, I was like, whoa.
Dude, Joey Beltran was on this card. Crazy Horse was on this card. Like this, like even the fans watching it, it felt exciting. It felt eventful. It felt like it was a big deal.
They got some good names on this card. I will say that they got some good names for that card.
And again, this is something that's on Fight TV. You have to go through a streaming provider and then find the stream and then buy it. So it was a whole loop to get to. But this card, again, bare knuckle boxing. We maybe joked about it before it even came out this year, but it had a great year. BKFC had a great year. Paulie Malignaggi versus Artem Lobov. You had Jason Knight versus Lobov, which ended with Jason Knight beating Lobov, which sets up a trilogy in 2020.
Yeah.
Hector Lombard about to be in BKFC.
They got some good people. They're getting some good people. They get some good names.
It's growing, man. It's growing.
Yeah.
Which made me think, I think DAZN should get BKFC.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. It'd be a good addition.
I think with the growth of BKFC and DAZN needing more content, I think it just makes sense.
It'd be a what do you call that? A smart buy if they invested in it early, because it's really. Does DAZN have one FC?
No, one FC is with Bleacher Report.
Oh, then no. I think this would give them. Although DAZN has boxing, I think this would give them. It doesn't give them, I guess, what do you call that? Power over UFC and all that. But I think it gives them a foot in the door in terms of like that kind of fighting. I think like because you have UFC with ESPN, that's as big as you get. Then you have Bellator with DAZN, right?
Well, on top of that as well. So reason why DAZN needs more content is because UFC Fight Pass already has everything. They have They have all the grappling tournaments. They have all the jiu-jitsu tournaments. They have
all the pride fights. They have a lot of kickboxing events, and
they have Glory. They have LFA, which was announced. They have Cage Warriors. They have all these properties on Fight Pass.
Yes, yeah, and I think this would be smart for DAZN to actually invest in. I agree. This would build their resume in terms of fight fans.
Especially when BKFC has some fights like Lobov versus Knight, like Paulie Malignaggi and Lobov earlier this year, and maybe they have some more matchups coming up. They have some interesting fights and some interesting, things that you want to see.
Yeah, agreed. No, I agree. I think that 100% they should.
I think it makes perfect sense.
I think so too.
But yeah, BKFC, congratulations on BKFC for the growth they had this year, and I hope to see more growth in 2020.
Yeah. They're gonna be good. I think let me say this. I wasn't sure how they would progress. I thought there might be a couple events and then done, but that's not the case here. I think they actually have something legit. I think they really have something legit.
I agree. Then that's pretty much UFC Sao Paulo and BKFC recap, really. Nothing really eventful from Sao Paulo. We talked about a little bit before. And BKFC, Jason Knight beating Lobov sets up a trilogy of 2020. Again, DAZN should buy or should have BKFC on their streaming platform.
Invest in that. Yeah. Agreed.
But Elijah, what I wanted to talk about for the next 20 minutes or so, I wanted to predict what 2020 would be. Right, so 2019 has given us a great amount of content for UFC. ESPN deal happened. You had a title changes. You have a champs. You had new faces coming to UFC. The star power Israel Adesanya has grown. Jorge Masvidal had probably the biggest comeback year.
He had the best year out of any UFC fighter. I'm sorry,
we've ever seen. Let me ask you this. When we look, I'm gonna detail you the champions right now. I want to ask you, what do you think we can see next year? Right. So as of right now, Henry Cejudo is the flyweight champion. He's also the bantamweight champion. Max Holloway is the featherweight champion. He's fighting both Alexander Volkanovski and.
Do you want to go just by division right now, so that way we can?
Yeah. So
are you gonna list out? Oh, you're gonna list out. You're gonna list out all of them, or did you want to do that way?
We can do it that way. So right now, we'll stay on Henry Cejudo itself. Henry Cejudo is the flyweight and the bantamweight champion, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you see happening with the flyweight division and the bantamweight division with Henry Cejudo as the champion? Because I have split thoughts.
At flyweight, it's interesting because Demetrius Johnson's not there. So, and UFC is not trying to they're not openly trying to get rid of the flyweight division, but
Yeah.
there isn't much interest in it, and that's the thing. So,
No.
I think a good title fight between Joe Benavidez versus we just said his name. Oh my God,
Cejudo.
Henry Cejudo.
Yes.
I think that fight has to happen before he defends his bantamweight. I know Henry thinks that he's supposed to defend the bantamweight before he defends the flyweight. I realistically don't see that happening anytime soon. I feel like the flyweight division, they're going to want to push for that in case they do want to get rid of that division. And I think Joseph Benavidez does have what it takes to beat Cejudo, but Cejudo's grown since their last fight. So I don't know if that happens realistically. But I could see Joseph Benavidez as a champion at flyweight before the division is totally taken out. I could see that title going either way, to be honest with you. I really can.
You know what? And we talked about it in previous shows. We talked about the flyweight division, especially against the bantamweight division. The bantamweight division has so much going on. I mean, next month we're going to see Uriah Faber fighting Peter Yan. We're going to see Frankie Edgar fighting
Cody Sandhagen.
Corey Sandhagen. And we got Jose Aldo going to fight Marlon Moraes. So you have so many big names fighting in the bantamweight division that if you're Henry Cejudo, it's just like, man, we're going back to flyweight to defend this belt against Joseph Benavidez, and that's it. There's not really much competition here. Meanwhile, in the bantamweight division, it's booming. You also have Aljamain Sterling is there. You still got Cody Garbrandt is still there.
You have a possible TJ coming back within the next.
Yeah, man.
TJ, I think TJ makes a 2020 return earliest. I really do.
There's so much going on in the bantamweight division. It's just the flyweight division just can't compare.
And you know what? And my reasoning is because there's so much going on in the bantamweight, Henry's going to want to be interested in that, right? But when we have all these fighters, who is to say they're the clear-cut winner? Now we have a ranking, and that's what we're going to go off of. But who's to say that this person deserves a title shot over the other person? Uriah Faber just came back to bantamweight, right? He's going to fight Peter Yan. Aljamain Sterling couldn't fight Peter Yan because he's recovering from a wrist injury. But he couldn't fight Peter Yan because of the injury, pushing off his delay. He's on I think 4-fight win streak almost in the bantamweight. The only person he's lost to recently was Marlon Moraes, right? So let's say that you have the top contenders, the top people in the division right now, with the addition of Jose Aldo. So you have Jose Aldo, you'll have Marlon Moraes in bantamweight, then you have Petr Yan, you have Uriah Faber, then you have in no order, of course. Then you have my boy Aljamain Sterling. Those are your 5 right now. Then you have the rising stars. You have Corey Sandhagen. Then you have who's he going to fight again? Frankie Edgar. That's 7 people I've just listed to you. If you can give me a clear-cut number 1 contender out of 7 people, I should probably throw one more in there. Give me another name.
So I'm gonna throw some more names at you. You also have Dominic Cruz, who's waiting in the wings somewhere. You have Jimmy Rivera, who can be anybody on any given day.
Then you still have Dominic Cruz, who can make a 2020 return.
Pedro
Munoz. There's just realistically what I see is an interim belt for bantamweight.
And the guy you forget about the most, who's the most well-rounded out of everybody on that list, Javier Assunção. Like, this bantamweight division is so stacked. It's probably the most stacked it's ever been in the history of the UFC. I don't see how Henry Cejudo says, you know what, I'm going to go to flyweight and defend this belt. I don't think
Henry chooses to. I've never said Henry would choose to defend his belt. Choose the flyweight over the bantamweight. What I'm saying is that UFC may push for him to defend the lightweight, get rid of it, go back to bantamweight. The flyweight. The flyweight. I feel like what's going to happen is he either vacates the flyweight and goes to bantamweight exclusively, or UFC tries to force him and strong arm him into a flyweight title. And realistically, the first option is more realistic. I don't think he's going to care. He doesn't care for the flyweight anymore because he's beaten the best flyweight at the time in UFC. I don't think he cares for the division anymore. He doesn't.
And I'm not saying get rid of the flyweight division. I don't know what you would want to do with that. But I think having Henry Cejudo as your champion at flyweight kind of hurts the division because there's so many big names at bantamweight that it just doesn't make sense. Like Joseph Benavidez is the only big name at flyweight. I think have Joseph Benavidez be your
Someone just
champion.
came off a win over Tim Elliott. That guy who just came off a win over Tim Elliott. I could see him fighting Joseph Benavidez one day for the belt. I think he's a pretty solid contender.
What I think the UFC should do, and this is what I predict happening. I think Karen Cejudo vacates that flyweight title.
I agree. I think he's gonna vacate.
He beat David Figueiredo.
Figueiredo, I'm telling you, I think, like I said, there's two options here. They force him and strong arm him to defend in the flyweight, but if he wins, it's like he retains. So like, what's the point? The more realistic option is to have him vacate one belt, move up, have on a card, have flyweights fight, and have Henry fight, and that possibly sets up a narrative of, oh, well, I gave up my belt to you guys, so you guys can get your division back. I can come back and beat any of you. That's a possibility.
Yeah, I think with Cejudo, and Cejudo's a big name now too, right? Cejudo beat Marlon Moraes,
Olympian,
beat TJ Dillashaw, Olympian. I think he's a big name now himself. I as much as Karen Cejudo will save the flyweight division and be that outspoken guy that could, bring eyes to the flyweight division.
Yeah,
he's more needed at bantamweight.
All right, let's just go to heavyweight then, because we killed two birds in one stone with bantamweight.
Yes, we did.
Flyweight.
And featherweight, we're gonna see Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. We'll do a preview show probably for that in the future. Lightweight, we can agree Khabib is fighting Tony Ferguson in 2020.
2020 has to happen. If that doesn't happen, if that doesn't happen for the 6th time or the 5th time, I don't know what's going on. These two can't fight. I just believe it can't happen. Like there's nothing that you can do convince me that if they can't fight in 2020.
And let me ask you this: who does Conor fight? Because Conor's fighting in January. That's pretty much
I think Conor fights Cowboy. If I'm being honest with you, I think Conor fights Cowboy. I feel it. I don't think he fights Gaethje. I think he fights Cowboy. I think that's a better story. It's a good fight for Conor. It's a great fight for Cowboy. I think it's very exciting because you have two guys who can strike. You have two guys who are good at what they do.
Cowboy can wrestle.
Don't go for takedowns. Cowboy has phenomenal jiu-jitsu. And you see, I think you see what do you call that? You see Conor train, like you see in like the last couple of months, he's been like more talkative and he's going more on Twitter and Instagram. And you see him, it seems like he's picking up training with Dylan Dennis because Dylan Dennis at one point had wrote that if he fought Khabib again, Conor would win. And so I think he picked up his jiu-jitsu, and I think someone, to test the striking, we know Conor's always going to be there for, but to test the ground game of jiu-jitsu, Cowboy would be, that's an area of highlight for Cowboy. So realistically, I see the fight with Cowboy happening, and then he may just give it, depending on if he beats Cowboy and how he beats Cowboy, that can put him in line for a rematch with Khabib or a fight with Tony.
I agree. And like I said, if the person that doesn't get Conor, I think Dan Hooker should get next. I think Dan Hooker should fight either Justin Gaethje.
I think Gaethje would be a good fight. I think Gaethje would be a good fight.
That'll be a phenomenal fight.
And I think they're two newer names as opposed to Cowboy and Conor. Because we know Conor, we know Cowboy's narrative, we know Khabib and Tony. That's like the new age of the lightweight. We know Conor's still there, the new age of the lightweight, but Conor, hasn't fought in a while and he's coming back. And then we have the new guys like Hooker and Gaethje who can have that longevity alongside Khabib and Tony. So it's possible, but Conor definitely gets Cowboy.
And I also just looking at here, thinking about Paul Felder. I think the fight for Paul Felder that also makes sense. Edson Barboza, finish that trilogy.
Yeah,
they're both one apiece.
Yeah, I agree. I
think that's a fight matchup you can make, and that pretty much completes the flyweight division. You got Tony Ferguson fighting Khabib, Conor fighting Cerrone.
He's out for a minute, but I think when Poirier comes back better, and that's going to be the issue. Poirier's going to come back really good. We know when Poirier hits these moments where he became an interim champion. When he hits these moments when he does lose, he always comes back better, and that's the thing. So be on the lookout for Poirier in terms of the lightweight division. I think he's a good solid chance of getting back to the belt.
Agreed. And you got, again, you can do Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. You can do Paul Felder versus Edson Barboza. Kevin Lee versus Islam Makhachev. Like I said, I want to see Ali Quincy versus Charles Oliveira. You could do Here's the name that I've been thinking about: Alex Hernandez versus Anthony Pettis. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, it's possible.
I like that fight. The young lion against the old vet.
Yeah.
That's always
All right,
that's always the
welterweight.
narrative you go with. Welterweight. That fight's going to be determined next month. Again, you're going to see Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman. As of right now, as it stands right now, I got Kamaru Usman. I mean, Colby Covington winning that fight.
I got Kamaru, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be back and forth, in my opinion. I really think it's going to be more back and forth than people think. I don't think it's going to be a complete utter domination. I don't.
I think it's going to be an utter domination. One side or the other is going to be one domination.
I think they're going to be. It's going to be close. I think it's. I don't think it's going to be a split decision. It's going to be unanimous at one point.
Yeah.
But I think that first round is going to be so crucial for the rest of the fight. So crucial.
And we'll do a prediction show on that, especially the last big event of the year. But as of right now, I got Colby Covington winning that fight by decision, unanimous decision.
Fair. Solid fight.
But the biggest story out of this is who will be the next challenger. Win or lose, if Kamaru Usman wins or if Colby Covington wins, who is the next challenger up?
Masvidal. Masvidal's next. He's next up. Masvidal's next up.
And I would have to say Masvidal will be next. I think that's the perfect fight that makes sense.
Yeah, only fight.
However, I think if Colby Covington beats Kamaru Usman, Covington versus Masvidal will be the biggest fight than Kamaru Usman versus Masvidal.
Agreed. It's an internal ATT fight. I like that. Yeah. I like that.
Looking at the middleweight division, Israel Adesanya is the champion. We've had multiple conflicting reports saying that Paulo Costa was going to be the guy, and Paulo Costa got injured. Then you go to Romero. Romero's supposed to be the guy. Romero's not being told he's not the guy from Dana White, and now we don't know who Israel Adesanya is going to face.
That division we have to wait. I think we have to wait, unfortunately, till the new year to see what happens. I think realistically, because they're not. I want to see. Actually, we'll wait till the next fight card to say what's gonna happen. Because that they have so many fighters at the top, it's kind of congested though. There's no clear cut. Without Paulo Costa, there's just no one. Like you could give it to Yoel because he's good, but other than that, yeah, he's coming off a few losses. So realistically, it's kind of hard to say. That top 5, that top 6 is so congested right now. You have guys who've moved up like Jared Cannonier, and then you have now Darren Till. However, you still have Kelvin Gastelum, and you still have Robert Whitaker. Then you have Paulo Costa, who's out, but we don't know how long he'll be out for say. We know he's had the surgery, but we don't know how long healing's going to take, and then retraining. And and you still have Jack Hermanson at the back of that list. Jack Hermanson hasn't gone anywhere. He lost his last fight to Cannonier, but he's still a solid striker. And he's still such a solid grappleist. Like he's still there. And then you could have anyone move down from 205 to that division, or you could have someone from welterweight move up. So it's hard to say for middleweight right now. I think it's too soon to say who's next, in my opinion.
And honestly, if Kelvin Gastelum, just speaking on contenders, if Kelvin Gastelum didn't fight Darren Till and just waited, you probably could have ran back Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya too, because of how close of a back and forth fight that was. But now that Darren Till is in the top 5, I think you get Darren Till versus Rob Whitaker in London.
Yeah, that's what they're both pushing for. They're both talking to each other.
If I'm predicting something, that's supposed to happen. And honestly, if you don't want to do your Romero, and you want to give a contender to Israel Adesanya, if Paulo Costa's out, you do Jared Cannonier.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Light heavyweight, we're looking at John Jones as the champion. He's rumored to fight Dominic Reyes in February. That division is so congested as well, right? Because you have so many contenders who can.
But you don't have a clear cut.
Exactly. And again, we talked about before. We'll do Blachowicz versus Jacare. Blachowicz versus Corey Anderson makes sense. And since Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos are both out, if they both come back healthy around the same time,
throw that fight in the mix.
Santos looks to be getting better as well. He looks healthy. Yeah. He's getting healthier. That fight makes sense. And then depending on who wins those fights and how impressive the fights for the wins is, that be the next contender.
Agreed.
My prediction is you're gonna get Thiago Santos versus John Jones again.
100%. I think we get that before we ever get Smith again. I think we get that before we get Smith. And I think in that second fight, John Jones still wins.
And I'm going to predict this now. I think John Jones fights 3 times next year. I think if he gets by Dominic Reyes, I think
Yeah.
which I think he can. I think John Jones fights 3 times next year. We might see him move up to heavyweight by the end of the year.
I say he fights. I say the fight against Reyes is the fight he wins. Then there may not be anyone clear cut until the summer. If there's someone by the summer and he starches them within the first 2 rounds, we have a fight with John Jones at heavyweight by the end of the year.
I agree. And that could possibly be talking about the heavyweight division now. Can that be Anthony Johnson? Anthony Johnson will come back next year. That's been a fight that was once supposed to happen.
Yeah,
let's Anthony Johnson going to that division.
Without Anthony Johnson, that division, the only other fight is Ngannou, and Ngannou has to fight for the belt in 2020, in my opinion. If he doesn't fight for the belt, that's an issue. Ngannou is the fight to make. Now, with that being said, Ngannou's set up. Is he set up to fight anybody right now?
Ngannou is talking about fighting Alexander Volkov. I think Ngannou just wants to fight.
Ngannou just wants to fight. He just wants to fight the guy who's doing the best right now. That's okay. I will say this: in 2020, Greg Hardy will be in the top 5. I'm making that prediction right now.
I'll say top 10. I don't know about top 5. I'll say top 10.
I say top 5. I think he'll be around number 4, number 5. Realistically, I don't know how it's going to get done, but I realistically see him being around number 4, number 5.
I'll say that. Yeah. I think we can both say he'll be ranked.
Yeah,
he'll be ranked. And by 2020 he'll be ranked.
I think by the end of 2020 he may be top 5. I think. Again, 2020 he'll be top 5. I think. I don't know what part of top 5, but he'll be top 5.
He'll be up there.
And then let's go. What the women's women's strawweight?
I see Weili Zhang keeping that title.
I see Rose coming back to fight Weili Zhang somehow, some way. I see that. Rose.
That may be true. I don't know
about her beating. I don't know about her beating Weili, but I definitely see Rose coming back, and I see Joanna possibly getting a shot at Weili. I would love to see that fight, Joanna versus Weili, because you have the power in the striking versus the volume in striking, and that's such a good fight. That's like I think that kind of matchup is similar for me as the Holloway versus Poirier matchup.
Yeah, I think Joanna's going to fight Weili Zhang. I don't know if Tatiana Suarez is still healthy from that neck injury she had, which is a question.
No timetable for that.
But yeah, I think Weili Zhang is fighting Joanna Jędrzejczyk next.
Wait, Tatiana Suarez? I thought she was women's bantamweight.
No, she's strawweight.
Oh wow, that's a big girl.
Yeah, and she has a neck injury going on right now. I don't know if that got fixed or what's the issue with that.
I know she had surgery, but I don't know the timetable for that.
So we don't know the timetable. So I'm going to assume Weili Zhang is next for Joanna Jędrzejczyk. You may get Rose versus Jessica Andrade, the rematch, or you may get.
I would like to see that.
I would love to see it too.
Women's flyweight.
But I don't see Weili Zhang losing that title in 2020.
No time soon. Yeah. And if she does, it's by a razor close decision. I don't see her getting knocked out.
Speaking of women's flyweight, but I don't see Valentina Shevchenko losing that title either.
Oh, Valentina, they might as well just. I don't know. That might have to be a lifetime belt. I don't think she's gonna lose.
I don't. Katlyn Chookagian is going to be the next person up to fight Valentina Shevchenko. She probably has the best shot. Honestly, looking at the division, I don't see. I don't see in terms of just being an overall game. I just don't see Shevchenko losing that title to anybody. Macy Barber's on the come up too. I don't think the 2020 she'll be ready for that title fight yet. No,
I think that if she gets it early, it might be hard for her. But she has the tools and assets to do it. But Valentina is just so good. But I do say this: if depending on the state of the women's bantamweight and featherweight, Valentina gets one more crack at Amanda.
I think that could be a possibility too.
I think that's more realistic.
And Amanda has to fight Jermaine Durandamy next month as well. That next month card is gonna be so stacked. But depending on if Amanda Nunes could get that by that test of Jermaine Durandamy, who's a very tough out, I don't see anybody left for her in bantamweight.
No.
In my prediction is Retires.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm more than okay with that. She has not. There's people who have nothing left to prove. She has nothing else to prove. Should be Holly. Should be Holly. That's
She,
just
she beat Holly, Ronda, beat
Tate.
Misha Tate, and she beat Shevchenko twice. And if she beats
Yeah.
Jermaine Durandamy, I don't
She's
see
the greatest fighter of all time.
I don't see who. And she beat Cyborg.
It should be Cyborg.
So I don't see who she fights past Jermaine Durandamy and maybe a real Valentin Shevchenko one more time. But other than that, my big prediction is I think Amanda Nunes retires in 2020.
Yeah, I see it. And as for the women's featherweight, I think that vision needs more fighters. Yeah, I don't think it's demolished. I just think they're gonna have a situation where we may see a tough for that belt where they assemble all the best female featherweights, and then
I like that. I like that idea.
I think that might be the more realistic idea behind the women's featherweight division, in my opinion. I think that should be instead of just having two people fight for it in a division. I think a tough of all the top featherweight women competitors. What is it? Tough is like 12 fighters.
Yeah,
for toughest fighters, 6-6. Let's have the best featherweight women. We may even see Megan Anderson back on that. She may not want to do it, understandable. We may see her on that. She may be like the first person to fight the winner of the tough. It's possible, but tough is a kind of a long time, so she has to string along a lot of wins.
You know what? I just brought up a great idea. What if the UFC borrows from Bellator? What Bellator is doing right now, and they've done a great job with tournaments. What if they create a women's featherweight tournament?
Grand Prix.
And for let's say from whenever Amanda Nunes, they decide to help Amanda Nunes get rid of that belt. They talk to her and say, no, listen, we're gonna move on, whatever. Mm-hmm. And they decide to have a Grand Prix for that belt. I think that will be entertaining. Especially in times where you need a big event for these ESPN cards to bring interest. I think that would be a great idea.
I agree. I think that, but they need more fighters. So in order to do a Grand Prix, they really need a lot more female fighters. So they could borrow. Realistically, though, they already do that in the form of tough. You know what I mean?
I think tough. I know Dana White wants to do this again. I think it's so done. It's been done to death at this point in time that nobody's really interested in seeing another tough series, especially going over a course of programming of like 6 weeks or whatever, however long it is. I think an actual tournament going from event to event, I think that's more interesting.
I think they could either do it on an actual event, or they can do it on the Contender Series.
Perfect. Great idea.
I think the Contender Series could be like part of it will be dedicated to Women's Featherweight Grand Prix.
And you got the culmination and a big UFC pay-per-view.
All right, they get their own card, and then you have the losers. You can still have the losers of the fight still, fight on that card.
I like where our creative brains are at. We're both creating a scenario where we can make this featherweight division work again.
We're creating a scenario where we not only generate more money, we generate fans, and we also build that featherweight division, because you can't announce a division and then it's not like they're not trying all their might, but this is the easiest way to build a division in short notice. You know what I mean? Have these people fight, and then you get the fans from seeing these people. And win or lose, you get the fans from seeing these fighters fight, these women featherweights. And then from there, you have a following. That following boosts to either the love or the hate. No matter what, people still tune in to see it. You know what I'm saying?
And remember, they did a tough series for featherweight.
Yeah.
Macy Chiasson, she was supposed to be in the featherweight division. And then she said, "Nah, I wanted a bantamweight division." So again, I think a tournament of the best female featherweights. You could probably get some from Invicta as well. I think that would be a perfect way to rebrand this featherweight division.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else you want to say regarding UFC in 2020? Any predictions you want to say before we end the show?
Conor somehow gets his way back to a title fight. I don't know how or where, but he does it. He gets his name thrown in there. I think Tony beats Khabib.
I like that.
I'm gonna go ahead and be the first to say that. Nothing against Khabib. I think without a doubt, Khabib's a monster. But I've been a Tony fan since the Katsunori Kokuni fight, and I think he gets it done. I do think he gets it done. I don't think it's gonna be easy. Under no means will I say it'll be easy. But those two fighting, I just think Tony Ferguson gets the win. I think it's a hard fight for Khabib and it's a hard fight for Tony, but I see Tony winning that fight. In my opinion, I could be wrong, and I'm okay if I'm wrong because that fight alone is a fight that I've wanted for forever now.
I predict that UFC 2020 is going to be the best year UFC's ever had. I think when you look at what they have lined up already, you have Conor McGregor coming back in January. You have Jorge Masvidal, this big star on the rise. You have Jones fighting consistently now.
Yeah,
I think this UFC 2020 is going to be the best year in the UFC.
Yeah, and I think we see the return of a lot of old faces like Johnson. I think Cody Garbrandt.
Man.
I'm gonna call this now. I think this is gonna be Cody Gambrandt's year. I'm gonna call it.
Ooh, okay.
And I really think Cody Gambrandt's gonna make some changes. He's gonna be team alpha male. I think he's gonna make the adjustments. He's gonna fight again, and he's gonna be better than he was in these last couple of fights. He's gonna be good. I think he's gonna be someone you can watch out. I think Dillashaw comes back by the end of the year. I think Dillashaw is going to go on a good rampage. I think Cody Sandhagen is top 5 by the end of the year. I think Max Holloway will go down as the greatest featherweight of all time. Before
he's going to go up?
Huh?
He's going to go up?
He goes up. He goes up by the end of 2020. I think Jones stays undefeated in 2020. I think Kamaru loses the belt in 2020. I don't know how. I think Kamaru loses the belt. I don't think he's going to be the most dominant welterweight champion. I think Woodley may lose his next fight, but comes back. And I think it's possible either if he wins his next fight, he's back in the title contention. If he loses his next fight, I don't think he goes away. Weili Zhang will never lose. I just want to go ahead and say that. Weili Zhang will never lose. She's going to go undefeated until she moves up. Who else? Joanna's going to have a good 2020. She's going to lose. She's going to have a good 2020, though. I think Amanda's going to have a phenomenal 2020.
She's going to lose. She's going to lose.
She's going to have a great 2020. I think her next few fights are going to be we're going to have the old Joanna back. She's not the boogie one who's in your face, but she's back to doing the striking and the volume and loving it. I want to say one more prediction for a fighter. I think Cormier has his last fight in 2020 and calls it quits.
I think that's a great prediction.
Cormier has nothing else to prove. Although he's lost to John Jones, of his losses in his career, he only has 3. He only has 3 losses in his career, I believe. 2 of which are John Jones, and 1 of which is Stipe Miocic. I think we get a Stipe Daniel Cormier rematch somewhere along the lines of 2020, and then I want to say for lightweight, no, I think I did every division. Flyweight, I see Joseph Benavidez fighting that guy who just beat Tim Elliott, Figueiredo. I see like that's going to happen. I think Cejudo is not going to be the champ in 2020. I really don't think he's going to be the champ anymore. I don't know how many fights it's going to take for him to lose the belt, but I think he's going to go. He's going to be impressive. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be that good. I just don't see him holding the belt as long because he's going to go through. He has a lot of guys to go through. He's going to have some crazy wars. I think some people he's going to beat, but then he's going to have some crazy wars. And then the last person I want to talk about is Israel Adesanya. Has a phenomenal 2020.
Where's your brother at? Your brother would be talking about Israel Adesanya right now.
I left him in the other room. We're not doing that. What about you? I just went on my rant. I'm sorry. You tell me what you think.
No, I think you're around the money. I think I'll add that I think people to look out for in 2020 will be Emma Shabazian. I think Brown is still there. I think the guy that fought in the featherweight division, I'm forgetting his name.
Tell me who he fought. Because featherweight is my area.
No, he fought. He fought in the featherweight division. He was a contender series. Sean Woodson. I think Sean Woodson is going to be somebody in the top 15 in 2020. I think Frankie Edgar is going to find his way at another bantamweight title shot. I think somehow, some way, Frankie Edgar beats Corey Sandhagen. We're going to see Frankie Edgar potentially being a title contender at bantamweight now.
Yeah.
And he probably has a better shot at bantamweight than he does at featherweight at winning a title. And last thing I will say is, I think by the end of 2020, I think John Jones will eventually move to heavyweight
Agreed.
and fight for the belt.
I fight for the I agree.
So that's my 2020. Oh, last thing, Darren Till will be a champion. I think Darren Till will be a champion in 2020.
Okay.
And I think whoever is the champion at middleweight, I think he beats. Whether it's Israel Adesanya, whether it's Rob Whittaker again, I think Darren Till has the tools to be a champion in 2020.
I don't know if Whittaker gets another title shot, but I think he gets damn near close. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he gets damn near close. It's gonna be a number one title contender, and which Whittaker is just make it edged out. But Whittaker is, I call it. I think he can get back to that title.
I agree. Last thing before we get off the show, it's been a great show. We're a little rusty. We're still trying to figure things out. So I'm back. First time back here.
I thought we did good, but okay.
I think we did good too. We're gonna do a award show. Everybody's doing an award show for who's the best fighter of the year, who's the best comeback, who's the best knockout. We're gonna do our own.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. We're gonna do if if anyone has any suggestions, of course, hit us up. But we should do a top 10. Maybe we'll decide. We'll decide.
We'll decide. To be continued.
To be continued. We're not saying no.
But I want to do our own award show. I think we have our own opinions on who we think should be fighter of the year.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you Israel Adesanya versus right now it's Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum. I don't think any fight beats that.
I would say that's fighter of the year. I'm talking about fighter of the year. I think
fighter. Sorry.
Yeah, I may go Henry Cejudo.
Fighter of the year.
I may go Henry Cejudo.
It's hard not to give it to.
And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the future episode. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So for the viewers, thanks for watching. Leave a comment, subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. And we do this all for you guys.
Yes, we do.
Anything you want to say before we get off this channel?
No, I have to go study. So
all right, there's that. I have to watch some football. Have a good day, everybody. My name is Tyrese Simon.
I'm Elijah Jones.
And this has been MMA Renegade, episode 10. Goodbye, guys.
Later.